Rockstar?
What's up, my brother? How you feeling?
Trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. How you doing?
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm just cool. Can't
Good
complain.
morning.
Yes, sir.
So, how have you been productive during the
Huh?
pandemic? How have you been productive during the pandemic?
It feels good. You gotta stay productive no matter what the climate is. You gotta figure it out. I mean, you can't let the pandemic stop you from getting to the bag or getting to some money or trying to,
Never.
put yourself in a better position.
Never. You just did a feature in Ford last week. I was impressed, first and foremost, because you talked about saucy extracts. That is an advance in wake and bake if I've ever seen it,
hmm
because it's legal, but at
hmm
the same time, it gives people an opportunity to be entrepreneurial. For you, from the block to being legal, you must have a badge of honor, the fact that you were able to pull that off and start your own company with Saucy Extracts. Tell me more about that.
Just happened to be at the right place at the right time, and God shining His light on me. Got some dope partners. With all the smoking I've been doing throughout my career, it's been so visible that
For sure.
they trust my judgment when it comes to smoking weed. So it was natural. It just made sense, and here we have it. 3 going on 4 years later, we actually up and running. We're in over 100 dispensaries in the California area. We have numerous amounts of products that's in the store. We give back to the communities. We try to stretch the limit, and we keep pushing forward to new ideas and stuff like that.
When you look at guys who have done time for distributing illegally, and you see the fact that you're now able to do it legally, retroactively, if you ruled the world for the day, Nas made the song "If I Ruled the World." If Jimmy Jones ruled the world for the day, how would you retroactively get some of those guys in the workplace and maybe getting out of jail for doing it illegally?
Oh, I mean, if I ruled the world, we wouldn't have been in jail for the first place for selling weed. But it's just it's just it's crazy to see how many states are legalizing weed and how many people are still locked up for those same offenses. Not saying that they haven't been letting out people who have been convicted for marijuana crimes, which now are being overturned, but I'm saying they need to let everybody go. You know what I mean? They need to let these people out for the crimes that we are now doing, smoking and enjoying legally in numerous amounts of states. But one thing they do have is the equity program,
Mhm.
which they've been giving back to the people who've been locked up for the same crimes. They're actually giving them a chance to open up their own dispensaries and grow their own weed and things like that. So I think that is pretty dope what the government is doing with that.
Last time me and you spoke on record, I caught you right before, during your Thanksgiving giveaway when you were giving away turkeys and more. And we talked about J.R. Smith, and you told me he needed to get signed. Well, damn it, he got signed by the Lakers.
He
What do you
did.
think?
Hey man, you gotta take it while you can get it. You know what I mean? I'm glad he got signed. It's fucked up that he got signed in the midst of a pandemic where all the rules for playing are going to be extremely different. But he still got a shot to get back on that court and prove how dope he is. And he's back with LeBron again. As crazy as it may seem, the same guy who held the ball and called the timeout or whatever he did. He pulled the Chris Webber. He caught he caught a Chris Webber moment. But he's back next to the king, and he gets a chance to prove himself once again.
Is your money on the Lakers?
I don't got no money on nobody this year, man. I'm gonna scrap this year up for me. I'll wait till next year when they get a little bit more organized and not trying to save the end of the year and take them to some Disney World tournament. Feel like they about to play Pop One or something. Like they about to play some Little League joints or something. That's all good.
The Nets got like 5 guys not playing. Kyrie not playing his shoulder. You got KD not going. Spencer Dinwiddie, DeAndre Jordan. News came out the other day. Torian Prince is not playing. What's up with New York, man? The Knicks ain't going to the bubble. They got the record.
I don't think they feeling the whole energy of being cooped up to play basketball down in Disney. But on the flip side, we all got a job to do. So when circumstances change, you got to change with the circumstance. I know they're accustomed to playing with fans and things like that, but I think that fans have nothing to do with the check that these owners been giving you, so you can play ball on that ball course. So whether it's one person in that arena or whether it's 100 million people in that arena, your obligation is to still get on that court and play your 48 minutes of basketball to get your check. But who am I? But I would say that's how businesses ran, right?
Well, it's funny you say who am I because Mr. Jones,
Yeah. I
One
don't
Eye
think
Willie.
I don't think the Gram likes when y'all be doing all these talk shows and stuff like that. They don't like the bigger picture. They know y'all trying to get your numbers up so you possibly can get a talk show on the network and stuff, and they don't get none of that. So you got to watch it. They be cutting everybody lives right in the middle of lives mysteriously. So
It started with D Nice. They didn't want him to be great. Now his thing is clear as hell.
hmm It's all
And
good though.
versus they figured it out. You looked at what was it? Early on it was what was it? Babyface and what's the name?
Uh, I haven't watched all the verses, but I remember it was Babyface and damn, I forget that fast. I don't know, but Versus did something smart. I do believe that Swiss actually, believe had a meeting with the Gram or something like that. The way they had it
Yeah.
hooked up with Apple Music and things like that. So that's a little bit different for them. They feel like they included. For those who not including them, you get a little bit of turbulence. You get the Teddy
Teddy
Riley
Riley,
treatment.
my man Jerry Green just said it. Teddy Riley.
Teddy Riley, yeah, you get the Teddy Riley treatment.
Did you check out Fab and Jada a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, that's one verses that I did check out. That was the pretty much the only verses that did check out. I mean,
What did
I'm
you?
cool. I mean,
You
not like
cool
I'm
with
not a
both?
fan of it. This wasn't, versus wasn't the thing that wasn't running to. I had other things to do. But the Jada and Fab joint, I made sure I carved out some time so I could sit down and watch that, which was dope. I like how they did. They was in the same room together. Jada was twisted, Fab was fly. Shit that we expect.
He did the grown man thing that became a meme. That dance he was doing.
Yes, they memed him out.
Yo, if you had the chance to do a versus with anybody in your era, I'm gonna just throw this out there. Would you like to do a versus with 50 Cent?
No,
Who would be your equal to do a versus with?
I'm not too keen on doing the verses. I told that to everybody. I mean, I don't have too many friends in this industry as it is. You know what I mean? So I don't know if there's too many people that are actually gonna get in the same room with me to do a versus. I kind of been labeled a bug out, so But I think the versus is a great concept. I do have a great catalog after so many years in this game. Diplomat, we have incredible catalog. Shouts to Swiss because he definitely hit me up about the verses for Diplomats, and he asked me out. Who do I see in mind, which is a very difficult question because obviously most people would say Dipset versus G Unit, but that's
Mm-hmm.
that'll never happen. So
One of
forget
the
it.
things that I find fascinating about you, one of my college roommates isn't alive. My boy Matt. I used to go back and forth from home. People used to sell mixtapes and DVDs right in front of my family store on 125th, Men's Walkers and the Athlete's Foot. And I used to go back to Philly area, Eastern University. I went to school in Pennsylvania, and I used to like put people up on Smack. I used to put people up on A Day in the Fast Life, Harlem A Diary of the Summer, all that stuff. And I remember watching the Day in the Fast Life DVD. And when you was in that store, when you was roping open the guy with the clothes, when you was trying to get the Pele leathers, all that stuff. But the thing that I found very fascinating about you from a business perspective was that Kevin Lyles put you in a position to not only be an artist, but to also scout new talent. You had the best of both worlds because you had the keen eye of knowing who was hot because you were actually in the music scene. From your perspective, how did you have an office position prepare you 2 steps ahead?
Well, that was a great time of my life. I was a great learning experience for me. One, I was a bit too young at the time, and I didn't have nobody in my corner who can explain the position I was in, that I need to take every opportunity that comes my way and grab it with both hands and really milk it. But for the most part, it was a great learning lesson. I definitely had a big position, and it doesn't change today. I'm still great with finding talent and seeing who's next. I give my shout out to Kevin Lyles for seeing how dope I am when it comes to the brain that I have and things like that. I don't know if my office acumen was up to par, But with time, I've learned, you know what I mean? So if I were presented with a similar opportunity nowadays, I think that I would approach it much different and definitely get the most out of it and definitely help a lot of people in that position I am. With me being in that position, that's the most important thing for me. Like I don't need the permission for accolades or for, you know what I mean, anybody's validation. I really like to help people. I'm have a very creative mind and very compassionate person when it comes to seeing making a success out of people or helping people. So
When I looked at just that whole Smack DVD era, and I looked at you just, being a personality, the only other person that I see made that seamless transition where you were utilizing YouTube to get the network money was Joe Budden. Did you, in your, just in the sense of Joe Budden TV with Tahiri and things of that sort, when you were on these Smack DVDs, did you in your wildest dream imagine that people would take your personality seriously enough to make you a reality TV show star?
I don't know. I mean, I just the life I was living and just me having the cameras around me and them happening being able to upload it on YouTube. It just, to see something so raw, a person like myself at the time with all the things that I've been in, the controversy that I've caused and things like that within this industry, just to be that up and close and personal with me, it was compelling. And the network seen that as they were doing reality TV in different forms, but to get something so raw and to attach themselves to the culture was a plus for them. And even then, I was way ahead of my time, and I should have sat back and took control a little bit more. But I don't cry over spilt milk, nor do I regret anything. It definitely helped me out a lot in my life and in my career by making that move when damn near the industry wanted to condemn me for doing a reality TV move, which is funny because everybody in the industry would die to be on a reality television show right now.
Yeah, Stevie Wonder could see that. Jim Jones in the building on Instagram Live. You, I feel like, first and foremost, Kanye West is in the news right now. He wants to run for president.
Cool.
Incidentally, you, I guess, you worked with Kanye. You guys were in the studio during the Rockefeller era.
Yeah.
He used your name to check into a hotel room, or rather into a hospital room years ago.
Yeah.
I talked to your mother about that on my podcast a couple years back, and she thought it was hilarious. On a scale of 1 to 10, how funny did you find it?
What, that he's using my name to get in the hospital?
Yeah.
I find that very funny. But you know how it goes. You want to use an alias, and I don't know if I was on his mind at the time, but Jim Jones probably was the first thing that came to his mind. I didn't use Tom Cruise when I'm in the hotel sometimes, so I understand how it goes.
That's real. That's real. You, to me, when I look at the Breakfast Club, I see Yee, I see uh, Envy, and I see Charlemagne as the underdog. Charlemagne is a guy who, was the guy behind Wendy Williams, and he's a star. You look at Yee, she was a manager of an artist, and then you look at Envy, the DJ, the guy who has the voice but may not be the rapper. When I look at you, I see you in the same vein because you literally played all five positions on the floor before you became the headliner. You were the manager, you were the security, you were the bully, you were more. When I look at Stuart Scott, he did the same thing when he was on ESPN. He was able to, play so many different roles. How did those roles that you played before you became the headliner prepare you for where you are now?
Um, because the roles that I played, I was helping somebody else prepare for them being the head. And that was Cam and Joel's in the beginning. It was Cam, and then as Joel's came along, he became
Mm-hmm.
successful in all the things that I had to do to help build the success with the things that I used for myself to build my success. And I had a different understanding of the game because I wasn't approaching it as an artist. I was approaching it as a hustler. So it was two different mindsets. You know what I mean?
For sure. How is Joel's?
Joel's is good. He should be home in a few weeks. God bless. God spare life. Can't wait to see him.
Your son goes to my high school alma mater, Don Bosco Prep.
Yes.
How is he doing in football?
Well, he's been having the trainer over the house 3 times out the week, and I know they're about to start some virtual training, I believe. I don't know what that means for next year as far as the school season and football goes, but he's definitely preparing. You know, preparation is everything. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. The five
Yes,
P's.
sir.
None of that.
Yes, sir. Max B wrote the hook for balling. Is that correct?
That's absolutely false.
It
Totally,
is.
absolutely false.
Why
False.
do people get that
Totally,
confused?
totally, absolutely false. No one
How
is
do why do
close
people
to
get that
doing that.
confused?
I don't know. You know how people like to suck dick out here in this world. They just want to say what the fuck come up their ass. You know. I just when it comes to the ball, the only thing that I look back and wish that I could change it. I probably still can't change it. Was a girl, one of my friends, mother, his child, actually came and sung the hook, sung the hook for me that I wrote, and I don't think she ever got compensated the right way. So maybe I have to backtrack and pull her name up and see if I could give her a check or something for actually doing that hook. But no, I write all my music, man. That's plain and simple. Everybody knows that for years. You know, people get on these blogs and social media and just be talking out their ass just to get a spike or a like or a view and things like that. You know, people don't believe the truth. They believe the gram. So whatever's, whatever's posted on the gram, they take that as Bible. And you can't stop ignorance. Yeah, and me myself once was bliss, so I could totally understand it.
Help me debunk the myth. Debunk a myth. You and Philly artists and DC artists have debated about New Balance. Who made it cool first in fashion?
Um,
Who did? Who
but
did?
New Balance, well, I'm not gonna lie. New Balance is a big DC sneaker. When I was younger, I had never been to DC, so in the '80s, I couldn't tell you if New Balance was popping in DC like it was popping in New York City and things like that. But I'm from New York City, so
Oh,
I remember them from the '80s. Everything I remember comes from New York City. And if you want to get technical, they only was rocking New Balance. They probably didn't have access to all the sneakers we had access to in New York City, but they were wearing them
oh,
like they were from New York. Whatever dress code they was doing was a New York dress code because New York was hip hop. It didn't matter where you were from. You were trying to dress like New York City, and the rappers that came from New York City, all the South artists, everything. There was a point in time where if you were watching a rap video and you was to press mute, you would think everybody was from New York
mhm.
just by watching what they had on. So, tomato, tomatoes. We know how this goes.
The '90s to me, you talk about everybody being from New York. Diddy, Jay, were king. But before that, you had Jam Master Jay as the DJ. You had LL Cool J. You had all these different people. I feel like in basketball, you don't really have the New York ball player that represents New York, and everybody knows it when they see it. I feel like in hip hop, New York has lost that luster too. To be a New York rapper, do you have to just exemplify New York, or do you have to touch everybody? Because when I look at Game was an LA based rapper that had a New York feel to it. Could New York reverse that where you have a New York rapper who has an LA feel to people out there?
I mean, I did it. I was a New
You
York
did.
rapper that gave LA a LA feel. They loved me on the West Coast like I was from the West Coast. So it's always possible, but I don't think that's necessary come to be a New York artist. Like you just need to stay deep rooted in who you want to be and what you want to do. You got to understand the business and the trickery that makes this business work. You got to have your marketing and promotion. You got to have your right connections. You got to know who to call, where to spend your money. It's a mix of everything. You know what I mean? And New York has a very prideful. Every artist is very prideful. It's all about who's going to be the king or I'm the king, and nobody's showing camaraderie, and that's where we choose to fall short a lot of times of claiming our throne back and things like that. But there are successful artists, and I tip my hat to all the younger artists that are coming up from New York City, and they are creating their own buzz. As you have like Brooklyn drill music, you have Bronx rappers who do the drill music. Shouts to all my Harlem rappers, all my young dudes from Harlem who've been shaking up. I mean, really shaking up. And it's starting to reflect on the radio, starting to reflect with these New York DJs. Before the pandemic had started, these songs were being played inside of all the strip clubs, and these kids was coming with all the money. They was hustling and busting it up and making themselves look good. So, I think New York is on a strong foundation right now, and we've been down so long. The only way is to look up, but we got to kind of stick together just a little bit. A little bit of sticking together will give us a lot of what we need to accomplish our goals once again. You know what I mean? And New York is still a mecca of music. There's no way around it. tell people every day, you still got to come to New York to get your checks cut if you want to be in music, and you still got to go to LA to get your checks cut if you want to be in movies. So, pick your poison.
Jimmy, what's the weather today?
Shit, I ain't been outside. Well, if I did, I took my dog to the vet. It was pretty steamy out there. You know what I mean? I probably give him some weather later. I don't know. It depends on how I feel when I wake up. I think I should start doing it every day again. People seem to really like when I give them the weather and a little bit of news and reality with it in the way that I like to do it.
I think you might be giving Al Roker a run for his money.
I would love to be an apprentice of Al Roker, as long as he doesn't curb the way I like to do things. But the knowledge that he has when it comes to actually being a broadcaster on television is something that I would definitely need. You know what I mean? I would take that I would need that. You know what I mean? But besides anything else, shouts to Al Roker. He's done a lot for our people, and he's done a lot for television as far as broadcasters and journalism and things like that. And if you've seen Al Roker show lately, it's not just the Al Roker weather show. He's the man on television. Like, he damn near does what he want to do on television in the midst of giving his weather. So,
Yeah, I would say I would agree with that. Fashion. Guys down south, Rockwood Dipset, the skull and crossbones was a thing. The skinny jeans was always a thing. You was definitely dressing as uptown goes. Your impact in hip hop, to me, as well as Dipset itself, I feel like you guys were you replaced what Wu-Tang, I won't say replaced, you picked up where Wu-Tang left off at as far as a culture, not just influence in New York, but influence in the South, influence in the West. Do you wear that with a badge of honor?
um, I don't think about it until it sprang to my attention. To tell you the truth, but I noticed it, and it definitely makes me smile. To know the impact that we've made, just being kids from Harlem and being blessed to be from Harlem, and Harlem being so stylish, and in turn we took that and made our own style with it for the world to see, and they actually gravitated to it and grabbed onto it. I mean, it feels good. I mean, I went to went to visit one of my good rapper friends. He's a little younger than me, probably one of the most famous rappers that are in the industry right now. I don't want to say names because it's not
Sure.
necessary. You know what I mean? But I was in the room. I came into their hotel room and they were watching all my old videos and YouTubes and shit, and I didn't know what exactly was going on. I'm like, bro, he like, bro, this ain't about you, bro. This is what we do every day without you here, bro. Like, you really been putting on. You one of the niggas that we consider the favorite. Like, this happened to be on because this is our daily wake up and get jiggy to you, nigga. Like, this is like how, like, this is like part of our culture from coming up and watch. I was like blown away. Like, to know who the person was and how they are influence you inside in this industry, and in turn how humble he was by giving me my flowers, and it wasn't even nothing to him by doing it, and just that made me feel good. So I don't try to push the issue on, oh, I'm the flyers, or y'all know who made this, y'all know. That's not for me to do. But when those moments happen, those moments do reassure me that you is a bad motherfucker, and I take that more than I take me trying to push I'm the bad motherfucker on everybody else.
Well, speaking of motherfuckers, in your song, Baller, you said you had beef at the Rucker, both guns loaded, now you back, motherfucker.
Mm,
Rucker Park.
mm,
I remember being
mm,
in college
mm,
and playing old DJ Envy mixtapes.
mm,
And that phone call that you made to Hot 97 years ago when
mm,
Mase was on the line, to
mm.
me was the epitome of slick talk that a lot of people from outside of New York had never heard before.
Yeah,
What made you call that day?
I forgot who called me. Somebody called me, woke me up like, yo, bro, your boy Mace is on the radio talking reckless about Killer. I'm like, no, he not. So I remember I had one of the personal numbers to Hot 97 at the time. This is when I was very bad. I called up, like, put me through. I don't want to hear nothing. Put me through before I get up out of my bed and come down there. They put me through, and I just was on one that morning, man. Just gave Beth a earful. And anybody know the history of Harlem, I think we don't gotta go too deep into it
Yeah.
and things like that. And anybody knows how I feel about Cam and Dipset. I still feel like that to this day. So I hope nobody crosses the line and have to get another earful.
What do you remember, Rucker Park wise? What players stood out to you playing that were, just so talented?
uh, Master Rob, Baby Jordan, Shamgar, Cam, Skip to Malou, um, Kareem Reed,
Hmm.
um, Curry Goat. Oh, Curry Goat. Oh my God, that was one of me and Cam's favorite. That nigga Curry Goat. I swear for God, like some of these individuals would have went in the NBA and lit that shit up. But that man named Curry Goat, if y'all don't not familiar with Curry Goat, he probably to this day still top 3 individuals to play basketball coming out of New York City. And you got to remember Rod Strickland, fucking
Oh,
Mark Jackson, Lamar Odom. Remember who comes out of New York City. And I'm putting that man in the top 3. And you can ask anybody. Anybody that was in his era and was playing with him and know what the caliber of game he was playing, they really didn't want to get on the court with him. There was nothing you could do with him. Nothing. 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 Shout out to OG. OG used to come in there with the teams and sauce it up. All his team was looking good. Like Fat Joe always had a great team in there. Dave, that rocking them from Jefferson, they always used to come up to the Rucker Park and go crazy. It was just a lot. I used to like Baby Jordan a lot. Like he didn't get too much. I didn't see him play a lot in Rucker, maybe like 1 or 2 years. But there was a kid named Baby Jordan. He used to have the short chain on, short gold chain on playing, and he used to go real dummy out there. Then you can't forget you had some of the greats: Kobe, Allen Iverson, KD, uh, Dr. J, so many great
A
NBA
Butter.
players. A Butter, that's the difference. I got story. That's personal. So it'd be so personal, A Butter.
Right.
But this. That's A Butter went point for point with Vince Carter one game inside of Rucker, inside of Gaucho's gym when Rucker Park was rained out. They had to move it to Gaucho's gym.
Hmm.
And A Butter was playing against Vince Carter. He went point for point, score for score against Vince Carter. They had like 30 some apiece, some shit like that. One of the greatest games in Rucker history. And A Butter, he's also one of the illest players to come out of Harlem and had a chance to go to the NBAs. But, you know, we all have our own demons coming from Harlem. And somehow we always get sucked in. But shouts to A. He's actually a basketball coach right now, I believe, for college, if I'm not mistaken. So he's continuing on into the basketball tradition and history and legacy. So I tip my hat to him and things like that for mustering up the courage to keep going, even though he didn't do the things that he probably wanted to do. But there's always another way to get to where you want to go, you know?
Sure. Tell me something. I talked to Stephon Marbury and I talked to Jamal Crawford about this. Stephon don't want to look at the past. Jamal talks about it vividly. Were you at Rucker when they were supposed to play that game during the blackout?
No, I don't believe I was. I wasn't at that game. I was in during the blackout. I remember I left out the office downtown, and when I was working for Kevin Liles and Leo Cohen, and I was in my van, hoping that my conversion van, hoping that we didn't run out of gas because of the blackout was so crazy, yo. But I wasn't up there that day. Nah.
Because I feel to this day, man, like when I look at just social media, and this was pre Instagram, pre Twitter, pre Facebook, MySpace. Yo, I wonder what it would have been like. Just the build up, and then the shoulda, coulda, woulda. But didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, but there was a lot of games that kind of were like that. Hold on one second. One
No
second.
problem.
Yo, but bro, let's work out real quick, bro. But you got to come on. Don't take the usual 2 hours. Let's get busy, man. All right. All right. Know what you were saying, pardon me?
No problem. We were talking about the blackout, and I was saying, imagine if social media existed when that
Oh
game
yeah,
at
like
Rucker
the
Park was
social
supposed to
media would have
happen.
hyped up. Like there were a lot of basketball games, and there were a lot of matchups that we wanted to happen that we didn't really get to see happen, and those probably one of the illest ones that would have happened. And if there was social media at that time, it would have blew that shit. Had more people to Madison Square Garden up at the Rucker. I mean, you got to remember Rucker We had people hanging off gates by the thousands trying to squeeze in there, and the fucking full court damn near turned into a half court with hundreds of people moving with the whole bat. If you on a fast break, there's 100 people behind you trying to watch the fast break as you go to the
Yeah.
upside. Then the wave of people is coming all the way back. Like it just like it's just is no other is no feeling that you could probably imagine being from Harlem. And then I remember Cam, like 15. He was playing at Rucker. Remember walking all the way up to Rucker while Cam about to play a game, stopping on 25th, buying the Calvin Klein socks when they first dropped with the gray heel and the gray toe and shit like that. The bootleggers used to have the Calvin Klein wrap on it. You remember he used to be like, I got to get some crispy Calvin Klein ankle socks to play the game. That's when ankle socks just first started popping and got real jiggy. Remember, that was all the fad. You had to have the Calvin Klein joints. Went up there playing ball, and Cam used to get busy, man. I remember he was supposed to get MVP one year, but they gave it to Pop. Shouts to Pop. Pop was from 1199, where we grew up at, me and Cam. Pop was dumb nice. Pop used to get super busy. No, East Side, they kind of, from 1199, they kind of thought we were spoiled, and you know what I mean? Like, they didn't think that we had it in us. Pop used to go over there and bust them niggas ass bad. Shouts to Pop. Shouts to my cousin Dave. It was a few dope basketball players coming up in our time that I've witnessed and got to play against. That was the funny part. I didn't pursue basketball like Cam and them, but I could get on any basketball court with Cam and them and get busy. It'd be a factor. You know what I mean?
What was Cam and Mase and Marbury like on the basketball court together?
So they play opposite teams, so that was a rival that went on for years, whether it was high school basketball games or whether it was tournament games when Marbury used to come up to LaGuardia Gym. I don't know if you're familiar. You familiar with LaGuardia
I
Gym?
am.
With the little ass 9.5-foot rim that nigga used to go off and dunk on niggas. If you don't know what LaGuardia was the cafeteria with basketball rims on it. But this tournament was one of the illest tournaments in high school for us coming up because you had all the real basketball players of that era played at LaGuardia House, from Marbury to Curry Goat to Kareem Reed to Ziggy to everybody. To even what was the dude, Spanish dude that nigga used to go crazy for back in the days? Felipe
Lopez.
Woo!
He's a bad
Felipe
brother.
used to be doing 360 jump shots and shit like that. They say he was like 22 in high school though. They said they changed his birth certificate.
He been looking old forever. He was like Danny Almonte.
That was the rumor, but he was dumb nice in high school. I don't care how you put it. He was putting up buckets. Then he ended up going to the NBA. I don't think he did as well as we thought he would do, but he was from Harlem. He went to Rice and he got busy, man. You know what I mean? Shit.
Yeah. Jimmy, what was the tunnel like? I was too young to get in. What was it like?
Oh, the tunnel was like the Garden of Eden. Like, I swear to God, the tunnel was like, I can't really explain it. It was like utopia. This shit was just like, if you was in the middle of a desert and you saw Oasis, you like, oh my God, like this shit, you go in a tunnel with I guess it impacted me so much because I first went in high school, I believe, like 11th grade or 16th grade. One of them, I just remember I was 16. I remember my whole outfit. I had the fucking hobo American flag jacket with the black Calvin Klein dungaree suit with the fucking all white ears with the bubblegum sole. I never forget my
The
fit.
bubble gums.
My man Dita took us from the block. Dita was one of the biggest hustlers in our area and in our area at the time and things like that. He used to always take us to wherever he went, take us shopping. Like, yo, everybody go get fresh airs. We go to the tunnel tonight. And that from that night on, it was like, yo, it kind of blew my mind. And just to get back the next weekend or however it was, and then to go to school the next day was like school looking at your teachers like boy, y'all don't even want to be here if you don't understand. I just saw Ice-T last night. I just saw Eazy-E last night. And I just saw, you understand what I'm talking about? I saw Mike Tyson walk through and make the whole tunnel separate like the Red Sea. Which one of you niggas would touch Mike with all the jury on by itself? By itself, walk through everybody. Everybody moved out of Mike's way. Like, boy, I seen like it just came to a point where I was a fucking member of the tunnel. I used to go. If me and Ken wasn't on the road, it wasn't a Sunday I missed. I was there on the last Sunday when they closed it. I remember the reason why they closed it. R.I.P. to Killer. Killer was a big fan of older Killer. Killer was from Brooklyn. Shout out to Charles Jones. This was his younger cousin. Who ended up losing his life through one of these events in the tunnel and things like that. And then turn to end up closing the tunnel after that. But the tunnel, you could be in there with supermodels like Naomi Campbell and turn around, be next to one of the biggest drug lords in New York City. And then at the same time, on the right side is 300 Bloods. And then on the left side, you got a bunch of dots. But then you might have Mary J. Blige walking. Then you might have Diddy walking. Or Big Pun and them might come through. Fat Joe and them might come through. Like, or Ja Rule might pull up. I remember... God bless the dead Prodigy. I won't say the story because he's not here. But I remember me and Cam seeing Prodigy in parking our car, and we caught Prodigy by himself, parking his car in the same parking lot, but he was totally by himself. It just caught us off guard. Just so young, and this is when Prodigy and them was popping, yellow and black North Face. Survival of the fittest and shit like that. This is like, you know, like 98, 97, or maybe 96. This was like before me and Cam really got on and shit like that. Like this still was doing the mixtapes for Clue and shit like that. I remember when Snoop was in there and all the blood started throwing just red rags at the stage, and Snoop got nervous. I don't know if he got nervous, but he definitely shook him up. He like, hey, it's all love in here, man. I don't know why you're throwing the red rags, but that was a term of endearment for us because them niggas was tearing that shit up. And if you know anything about the culture, Snoop was God to us because he was representing what we were living, even though they were wearing another color, but the music had no color barrier. It was just about banging. So when they came to the tunnel and they were performing, him and Dre was like, yo, next level. They performed in there for like 2.5 hours, hit after hit after hit after hit. I remember I had the Flint Sloan iceberg sweater on that day. I be remembering my outfits for certain events I went to and shit like that. It'd be so monumental in my life and shit like that. And I just remember staring at the stage from like where Flex used to DJ at and just watching Snoop and them go crazy, like crazy. I seen that.
How many pairs of Bally's and British Walkers did you own in your day?
Me, I didn't own any pair. I had like one pair of British Walkers and like one pair of Bally's that I got, and they were a little bit too big for me, but my mom's and them was so hood that they, whatever my uncle was getting, they used to try to make the little version for me. But my Uncle Ricky and my Uncle Cecil, my Uncle Avery, they had all the Bally's and the British Walkers and shit like that. Like I'm talking about with the tassels, the suede on the side, the ones with the strings and shit like that. They was hitting before the Wallabies was hitting. Then my pops used to have all the Pumas and all the Pro Cats. I'm talking about every color, every flavor, suede, whatever you wanted, he had matching with the BVD shirts, with the leaves, with the pinstripes and shit like that, with the permanent creases down the side. Like I'm a real avid fan of watching all this old school shit because I used to want to wear and rock all this old school shit. I used to wear my Uncle Big V bombers. I'm maybe 6 or 7, and I'm putting on his V bomber to go outside. That shit looking like a dress. So I'm a real fan of the hip hop hustlers culture. It turned me on back in the day tremendously.
Do you think that compares to the sneaker culture, the Jordan culture now?
It's a different feeling because it's not the same thing that we're doing to acquire sneakers. Like back then, we were hustling to get the Jordans, and the feeling of hustling to get some money and then run to the sneaker store. I don't think I'll ever get that feeling again. Can't recreate that feeling. It's damn near like getting your first piece of pussy when you was hustling and getting your first pair of fly kicks and you know you was able to get another pair and things like that. I mean, now we keep tradition up because we like to stay fly and we like to keep it jiggy like we did back in the day. But the fight to get to that back in the day was way more iller than it is now and shit like that. But sneaker culture is a very big thing in my life. As you know, I'm from Harlem and I've been rocking my sneakers since I was younger, trying to emulate the hustlers and things like that. But you know, I can't. I wish I could get that feeling back of back in the day and copping my first pair of Stan Smiths or copping my first pair of Reebok Classics or just copping my first pair or hot top Air Force Ones with the forest green check and the forest green strap. Like it's crazy. You know what I mean?
A few more questions. One, Dipset. When Jewels gets out, how long would it take you guys to put an album together?
I don't know. It won't take us long to do an album, but when Jewels get out, I don't know what would be on his agenda, what's his priorities. I spoke to Cam about that the other day. We're both looking forward to doing music with him. So, when he gets home and gets reacclimated and settled in and, you know what I mean, and wants to get busy, then when we going to get busy. Or if he gets home and that's the first thing he want to do, and shit, I can't wait to do it, you know what I mean? But we got to wait for him to get home and see how he's feeling.
The first thing you bought with your check from Ballin' being a hit was?
Shit, I don't know. Did I have the Maserati before balling or after balling? I want to say after balling. Probably was the Maserati quadruport. That was like the first one in the country with it. The water blue joint looking like a shark. Yeah, I think that might have been one of the things I brought besides my house that I had brought and my mama house. I brought my Mia house, my mama house, and then I brought the Maserati, I believe.
That's balling.
Yeah,
That's
felt good.
balling.
Felt good. Felt good.
Who dresses the flyest at a Dipset? That's the most subjective ass question I could probably ask.
Um, I don't know. I mean, I just be dressing. You dig? I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I know how to put things together. So for me, I don't know. I would say probably Cam. Cam has a whole different type of attacking when it comes to getting dressed. As you can see, he like the male Mona Lisa for that pink fur he had on. Is just a different caliber of getting fly when it comes to Cam and shit like that. You know what I mean? I'm more like a James Dean type of fly, like a rugged white boy in a black body and shit like that. I kind of know how to put it together. And Joel's is a mix of both of us actually. Now when I look at him and in some of the outfits and how he dresses himself, he kind of and captures everything all in one and shit like that. He's the younger one. He put both our styles together and definitely kills it. So he has a bit of the Jim Jones flair, but then on the flip side he has a bit of the Cam flair, and then he has his own flair as he puts all the Supreme and all the young dope ass clothes that like he was the first person I seen with Mike and Mary, and I know now there's a lot of people that's going to say, "Oh, we've been rocking Mike and Mary." Jewels was the first person I seen, period, with Mike and Mary. I'm talking about period. And if they want to argue with that, they can. We could go back and forth. And Mike and Mary didn't give him nothing. Then he brought all that, and he still got. Joel's got more clothes in the fucking department store, and he's been gone for like a year, so he just got a like stupid shit that he haven't worn that's gonna be even flyer now because people can't get it. They go see that shit crispy new. But
Sure.
he's a rat pat. He's like a hoarder when it comes to fly shit. Like if he likes something, it's a Mary. He got I'm talking about all the Mary shit in his house. If it's Supreme, he got all the Supreme shit in his house. If it's motherfucking Billionaire Boys Club, like he got all of it. Like not a little bit of it. Like he goes to the extreme. Like I need all of it. Like boy, you spending 100,000 on one design and you tripping. But that's Jewels.
Yeah, for sure. Is Jewels considered the Dipset pretty boy?
He's the prince. He's the youngest one, so he has the youth on the side and all the good luck. So I don't know if we're gonna call him a pretty boy, but niggas be pretty too in a good way. You heard?
For sure. For sure. Brother, it was good
Pretty
to talk
nigga.
to you. Always good to see you.
Yes, my brother. I appreciate this time that we had. You always have some great questions. Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, man. Enjoy your workout.
All right, my brother. Stay up. See you soon.
Later.
All right.